educational content, not clinical advice.
You are overreacting. It's 2 a.m. Your phone lights up. The last argument ended hours ago, but the messages keep dripping in.
My exes were all crazy. You're too sensitive. You'll never find anyone as good as me. You stare at the screen, wondering if you're being unfair or if you're being played. This isn't random. It's a playbook. And the playbook has a name. Narcissism.
But what if I told you that most people throwing that word around are pointing it at the wrong targets, and that calling everyone a narcissist makes it harder to spot the real thing? You've got to separate the everyday ego stuff from the disorder, and then go all the way back to a story that's older than psychology itself, and the myth is going to matter more than you think. Let's pull the label off the jar. A lot of people sometimes act self-centered. They flex. They want praise. They dodge blame. That's not automatically a clinical problem. In fact, most will show narcissistic traits now and then, especially under stress. A true narcissist, the clinical kind, lives in those traits all the time. Their world runs on a few core rules. I'm special. I need admiration. Your feelings are optional. This pattern shows up across work, friendship, not just in one bad week. It also causes damages to jobs, relationships, life. Clinicians call this narcissistic personality disorder, and it's diagnosed by meeting a set of criteria, not by a vibe from TikTok. Estimates put actual NPD at roughly 0.5% to 5% of people, and it's more often diagnosed in men. True narcissists are a minority, which means most of the time, that person who just posted a gym selfie and wrote a novel for the caption, not necessarily a narcissist. Annoying, maybe. Disordered? Probably not. So how did this label get so sticky so fast? To answer that, we need a mirror, a pond, and a boy who couldn't look away. The word narcissism didn't start in a clinic. It started in a myth. Long story short, the character, Narcissist, in Greek mythology sees his reflection, falls in love with himself, and can't turn away. Modern psychology borrowed the story to explain extreme self-focus and inflated self-image. But the last decade did something new. Search the internet and you'll see the graph shoot up. Since the mid-2010s, interest in narcissists has grown like crazy. In 2022, the word gaslighting, a tactic commonly linked to narcissistic manipulation, became Merriam-Webster's word of the year, after searches spiked 1,740%. Translation: the language of manipulation went mainstream. The mirror moved from Greek poetry into your group chat. That awareness is good until it isn't, because once the word is everywhere, everything starts to look like it. And when everything looks like narcissism, the real signs get missed. So if we're going to tell signal from noise, we need to know the faces narcissism can wear. And some of the faces don't look arrogant at all. Narcissism runs on a spectrum, not one mask, but several. Let me explain. Overt, grandiose. This is the stereotype. Loud, dominant, center of the room, inflated sense of importance, a bottomless need for praise, and a habit of steamrolling others. They overestimate their skills, feel entitled, and run low on empathy, easy to spot, hard to deal with. Covert or vulnerable. The stealth version. They still crave admiration, but it's hidden. Think sensitive, anxious, nobody understands me. They take criticism like a direct hit, slip into passive-aggressive digs, and use self-depreciation to pull you into comforting and managing them. You're rescuing them. They present as hyper-altruistic and pro-justice, while secretly chasing status through virtue. They preach fairness, then break the same rules behind the scenes. The applause for being good becomes the actual goal. Antagonistic, always competing, always right, always in a feud, argumentative, exploitative, and unforgiving. Relationships become scoreboards, and the scoreboard always says they're ahead until everyone gets tired and leaves. Lastly, malignant. This is the dark end of the spectrum. Narcissism mixed with aggression, paranoia, and sometimes outright cruelty. They still crave admiration, but they'll burn the bridge and blame you for the fire. If you've met one narcissist, that's just it. You've met only one narcissist. The packaging changes. The engine underneath doesn't. Grandiosity, entitlement, admiration, hunger, and low empathy. That's the core, but the labels don't protect you. Knowing the playbook does. The playbook is surprisingly consistent. The pattern often starts sweet, too sweet. Gifts, intense compliments, big promises. That's love bombing. The super glue at the beginning. Then comes the pivot. Your memory gets questioned. Your feelings minimized. Your reality blurred. Gaslighting. Add triangulation, bringing a third person into the conflict to back their narrative. Silent treatment, withholding affection and contact to punish and hoovering. Trying to suck you back in after you leave, rounded out with scapegoating. For one person, often the most empathetic, gets blamed for everything. It's not random, it's a cycle. Idealize, devalue, discard, and then maybe hoover and repeat. Listen for the phrases that keep you off balance.
You're overreacting. My exes are all crazy. You're too sensitive. You're so jealous and insecure. You will never find anyone as good as me.
They sound like one-offs. They're not. They're tools. Each one shifts blame back onto you and keeps the spotlight where they want it. Important disclaimer, not all narcissists are abusers, and not all abusers are narcissists. But when you see several of these tactics together and they repeat across situations, you're looking at a system, not a bad day. And if the system is this sticky, there's probably something deeper underneath. So what's the difference between someone who's just a little self-absorbed and someone who treats other people like props? To answer that, we need to talk about solipsism and why a little self-focus can actually be useful. Solipsism is a philosophical idea. The only mind you can know for sure is your own. The extreme version says the outside world is unknowable, or maybe doesn't exist at all. That's not a clinical diagnosis, it's a thought experiment. But in everyday life, a watered down version shows up as I'm the center of my movie. We all feel that sometimes. Here's where people get lost. A bit of self-centeredness can be healthy. It's called boundaries. It's saying, I can't fix everyone. I'm choosing my priorities. That kind of self-focus is how you protect your time, your sleep, and your goals. It's how you say no, so you can say a better yes later. It's not about superiority. It's about stewardship of your energy. Narcissism flips that. It isn't just me first. It's me always. My needs define the room. Your needs are leverage. Empathy becomes a tactic, not a value. That's the line. Not confident versus humble, but boundaries versus entitlement. So how do you tell which one you're dealing with in real life? Quick mental checklist. Scope. Is the behavior just at work this month or everywhere? Over years, do other people consistently pay the price for their choices? Accountability. Do they repair harm without deflecting? Or does every apology end in your fault? Empathy. Can they hold your perspective when it clashes with theirs? Or only when it's convenient? Pattern. Are there cycles? Idealize, then devalue, then disappear? How often do you notice this pattern? If it's contained, accountable, and empathy shows up under stress, if it's entitled and empathy only appears when there's an audience, you might be looking at the disorder. Okay, but why do some people end up like this? To get that answer, we need to look at what builds the mask. Genetics, culture, parenting, and why the label is now everywhere. There's no single origin story. Researchers point to a mix. Inborn temperament, genetics, and early experiences. Some people grow up with inconsistent caregiving, overpraise, or excessive criticism. Messages that twist a kid's self-image into something either too fragile or too inflated. Culture matters too. Environments that over-reward individual specialness while under-rewarding community can tilt people toward the narcissism end of the spectrum. Add a warning label here. Narcissism sits in cluster B alongside borderline, histrionic, and antisocial personality patterns. They can look similar on the surface. Big emotions, attention-seeking, risky choices, but the motives and fears differ. That's why diagnosis isn't a DIY project. A professional has to tell them apart. Meanwhile, the internet has turned narcissism into a catch-all insult. The searches exploded. The think pieces multiplied. Gaslighting won Word of the Year. That awareness helps victims name what happened, but it also tempts everyone to play armchair clinician. Remember, true NPD is uncommon. Most people you meet aren't pathological. They're just being people. Annoying, selfish, flawed, like all of us. Still, you need a defense plan for the real thing. Keep this short list in your notes. No contact when you can. Stop feeding the cycle. It's the cleanest cut. Gray rock when you can. Become boring. Neutral tone, one-word answers. Share nothing they can twist. Don't announce the strategy. Just do it. Boundaries that bark and bite. Decide your non-negotiables. No shouting, no name calling, and leave the moment they're crossed. Keep receipts, keep it brief, keep it unemotional. Yellow rock if you're co-parenting or in a work setting. Think neutral, polite, factual, nothing more. Recovery basics. Expect complex emotions. Rebuild routines. Sleep, food, movement, hobbies. Call your friends or family if you can. Work with a pro who understands this pattern. You're not too sensitive. You were trained to doubt yourself. You must unlearn it. There is one more thing you can use. Healthy self-focus. It's not narcissism. It's maintenance. A little solipsistic energy. What do I need? What game am I playing? Can protect you from people who weaponize your empathy. Ironically, a stronger me is how you build a better we. So after all this, the takeaway you can use tonight. Time to close the loop. Now back to the phone at 2 a.m. The messages are still there. You're overreacting. You're too sensitive. No one will love you like I do. The words stay because they're designed to. But now you know the math. Here's your quick test. Is this a one-off or a pattern? Does their need for admiration cost other people consistently? When confronted with harm, do they repair or do they rotate blame back onto you? Do you feel smaller the longer you stay? If the pattern is global, the cost is paid by others, and empathy only shows up when there's an audience. You're dealing with someone who's always looking for a mirror and using people as glass. The fix isn't to out-argue the reflection. It's to step away from the pond. Build the boundary. Cut the contact if you can. Gray rock the rest. Take your energy back and point it at a life where admiration isn't the currency and empathy isn't a trick. That's how you end the story. You stop being the reflection and you become a person again. If you enjoyed this video and would like to learn more about topics like this, including how to protect yourself from various psychological tactics and strategies used by manipulators in your daily life, like, comment, share, and subscribe to Atypical Tactics. Learn the rules to the games people play so you can break them in your favor.